Without warning, the man burst into the house, his voice dripping with malice. Every word he spoke was meant to wound. "Hey, listen up," Max sneered, locking eyes with Elijah. "You're nothing. Tonight, I'm taking your wife out. I'll satisfy her in ways you never could." His tone was smug, filled with cruel confidence. "You can't stop me. She deserves better than you, with all your flaws. Honestly, I'm doing her a favor." That night, an unusual silence filled Elijah's small apartment, offering him a rare moment of peace from his chaotic life. For months, his modest home in a quiet neighborhood had become his refuge, a place of solitude, where lonely dinners and the distant hum of city life were his only companions. This isolation should have given him the space to heal, but instead, he found himself trapped in an endless cycle of regret, haunted by the night that had changed everything. That fateful evening had started like any other. After a long day at work, Elijah had come home, looking forward to watching an old movie or reading a familiar book. But his routine was disrupted by an unexpected knock at the door. To his surprise, it was Lucy, his wife of 6 years. He hadn't seen her since their last bitter argument, which had ended in weeks of painful silence. Lucy stood in the doorway, her expression uncertain. A mix of shock and guilt surged through Elijah as he met her gaze. "Can we talk?" she asked softly, her voice hesitant. Elijah hadn't expected to see her again, at least not so soon. Something in her eyes, however, compelled him to step aside and let her in. "I'm not sure I should be here," Lucy admitted, looking down at the floor. "But I need to explain what happened. You deserve the truth." Elijah closed the door and watched her move toward the center of the room. His mind raced. What could she possibly say now? After choosing to abandon their life together, what explanation could make any difference? Her next words sliced through the air like a knife. "His name is Max. He was there when you weren't. I thought it was the right thing to do, but now everything is falling apart. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't expect this to happen, but it did, and I can't change the past. I know I've hurt you, and I don't know how to make it right." Elijah shook his head, disbelief etched across his face. "Don't you get it?" he whispered, his voice heavy with bitterness. "You chose him over me, and now you show up hoping for, what? Forgiveness." Lucy said nothing, her face filled with remorse. For a fleeting moment, Elijah felt a pang of pity. A quiet voice in his head urged him to forgive her. But the weight of betrayal crushed that thought before it could take root. "I can't do it, Lucy," he said firmly. "You already made your choice. And it wasn't me. I won't fight for something I've already lost." Lucy opened her mouth to respond, but Elijah raised a hand to stop her. He refused to let her decision define him. He wouldn't give in to despair or self-pity. Instead, he would take action. He would make sure Lucy regretted every moment of her betrayal. The first step was Max. Elijah knew he had to find the man's weak spot, to uncover the secret hidden beneath his arrogant exterior. After days of careful research, he was ready. Elijah makes an unexpected discovery. Max owns a small, struggling startup. It's the perfect weakness, the key to his downfall. Determined, Elijah reaches out to an old university classmate, Mark, who is well-versed in law and business. Over drinks, he lays out his plan. "What do you need?" Mark asks, intrigued by Elijah's determined tone. "A deal," Elijah replies without hesitation. "There must be something I can use." Mark smirks. "It won't be cheap." "The price doesn't matter," Elijah says firmly. "I just want him to feel the consequences of everything he's done." Within a week, Mark hands Elijah a folder, a treasure trove of damning evidence. Fraudulent transactions, shady investments, and financial inconsistencies paint Max as a man very different from the image of success and integrity he portrays. The moment Elijah had been waiting for had arrived. A few days later, Lucy's name flashes on his phone. Her message is filled with desperation. "Elijah, I need to talk to you. Max is not the man I thought he was. I made a mistake. Please just hear me out." Elijah smirks. Things are falling into place. Max and Lucy had underestimated him, but they wouldn't make the same mistake twice. This is only the beginning. A cold smile twitches at the corner of his lips as he reads her words. The despair in her message is almost palpable. Finally, she is beginning to understand the weight of her choices. She had chosen excitement over stability, passion over loyalty. Now the consequences are catching up with her. But Elijah is not the kind of man to forgive. Not after what they had put him through. His response is short and firm. Lucy, you made your bed. Now lie in it. Hitting send gives him a brief moment of satisfaction, but it isn't enough. His plan isn't over yet. The real reckoning is still to come. He first targets Max's business, ensuring that his corrupt practices can no longer be hidden. Reporting him to the authorities would be too easy, too quick. Elijah wants Max to feel his world crumble around him. He begins by sending anonymous tips to various agencies, including the IRS, exposing Max's fraudulent transactions. Within hours, investigations are launched, accounts are frozen, and legal battles erupt. But Elijah isn't done. Using his insider knowledge, he plans an even more devastating blow. A series of strategic phone calls and emails ensure that Max's most important clients learn of his illegal activities. The consequences are swift and brutal. Investors pull out, lawsuits pile up, and Max's once unshakable reputation crumbles like a house of cards. Elijah knows it's only a matter of time before the entire operation collapses. But Max is only a piece of the puzzle. Elijah has an even harsher plan in store. One that will ensure both Max and Lucy pay the ultimate price. When Lucy left him, she was confident that Max's wealth and status would be her new foundation. Elijah, however, intended to make her feel the pain she had caused him, to show her what it felt like to lose everything, and to watch as her gilded illusions came crashing down. Lucy had become accustomed to the luxury Max's money provided, but that comfort disappeared with one phone call, ensuring that her financial security was wiped out. Elijah convinced Max's accountant to leak sensitive financial records to the press. Within days, reporters swarmed, and Max's life was thrown into an inescapable scandal. Lucy's bank account was frozen, her credit cards maxed out. She found herself in a bind, relying on the penthouse apartment Elijah once owned, only to discover it had been seized by the authorities as part of the ongoing investigation. Her glamorous lifestyle, luxury cars, designer clothes disappeared overnight. But Elijah wasn't finished. He had one last trick up his sleeve to complete his revenge. He invited Lucy to dinner. When the doorbell rang, Elijah's pulse quickened. He opened the door to find Lucy standing there, a shadow of her former self. Her eyes were swollen, and the confidence she once carried had collapsed. She was a failure. I don't know who else to turn to, she said, her voice heavy with grief. I'm all alone. Please listen to me. I've lost everything. I was wrong, so wrong. Elijah answered calmly. I've been busy. When you meet the right person, you discover amazing things. Lucy went pale, realizing the weight of his words. You did all this? She stammered, her voice shaking. Elijah's gaze remained cold and unwavering. Every time you chose deception and betrayal, Lucy, and now you're living in the ruins of that choice. Lucy's hands trembled as she fumbled with her phone, probably intending to call Max. But Elijah had anticipated this. Max's connections had been severed, his lines of communication monitored, his influence dismantled. You think he'll save you? Elijah's voice dripped with disdain. He's already fallen, and you'll sink with him. Everything you thought you had is gone. The silence between them grew heavy with unspeakable regret. Tears welled up in Lucy's eyes. I never thought it would end like this, she whispered. I never thought any of this would happen. Elijah, please, I was so blind. So stupid. Can we start again? I miss you. I miss us. Elijah